Yo, this is Steve Bloom, and you're watching Moana Nui Podcast. We'll be starting soon. Don't go anywhere.
The phone was ringing. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Malachi's Corner. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Malachi Bailey. I am the author of Her and the author of the sequel, Gods and Monsters. I'm also the head of development for Wingless Comics, and I am currently working on the ongoing series for Her. So all things Her. So with that said, I want to, again, thank you guys for tuning in. It's been, I want to say about 2 months or so since we last had an episode, and that last episode being about mental health and how you guys can, get through it. But for today and for the month of June, we are discussing all things Pride. So, of course, I had to dress the part, right? So I have my little shirt, right?
Yeah, fantastic.
Right? And then look at this. It's like rainbow power. You can't tell me nothing. So I have a special guest today, people. And to be perfectly honest about it, Shane was actually the reason why I'm actually celebrating the month of Pride on my show. He is a character. He cracks me up. And he's also a fellow 80s baby. So, I needed to have him on my show. And I know this is past his bedtime because he's actually not here in the United States. Where in the UK are you?
I'm from Newcastle upon Tyne, which is just under Scotland.
Oh, wow. Okay,
yeah.
That's
I'm in the north of England, not anywhere down south. Nothing like London.
Oh, wow, that is so
nice.
Cool. All right, so. Excuse me. So I want to again, express my gratitude for you agreeing to do this. I understand that we all have our busy lives, and we have other commitments and obligations, and I do realize that this is this is a time shift. For me personally, be in my late 30s. If it's like towards 11 to midnight.
You're not in your late 30s.
Actually, I am. I'm an 83 baby. Yeah.
Shut the door.
Yes. I'm 38. Thank you. So
what's your secret?
It's called Black Don't Crack. I have excellent genetics. What can I say?
I'm not going to argue with you there, honey.
Thank you. So Shane, I love our conversations, and I love going on your page because you have this off-brand humor that speaks to me, and I like how it can be so dry, and yet it's still freaking hilarious. So for that alone, I thank you.
Hey.
And I also noticed that you're into He-Man, like I was growing up. So I'm going to touch on all that later on.
Yes,
but
fantastic.
I wanted to really just focus on the reason why I did this particular celebration, for this month. I wanted to focus on what you created that caught my attention,
Yes.
and that was the Night Twink, series.
Yes.
That alone it's bold, it's fresh, and it speaks to our culture.
Yes.
And honestly, I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it. You know,
Fantastic. Thank you.
yeah, because I mean, so I got the issue. I want to say I got the issue last week. I made sure that I purchased it. Actually, I bought both of them, but I haven't read the second one yet.
Brilliant.
And when I got the first issue and I read the first page, and it totally speaks to the communication now, the
Yes.
use of technology,
Mhm.
hookup culture, and
Mhm.
how
Yeah.
how that is deeply embedded in gay culture.
Yeah.
But before I even get into that, I want people to get to know you the way that
All
I've
right.
gotten to know you in the last couple of months. And I did write down a few questions because, I do want to pick your brain, and I do want to put you on the spot, and I do want to know what's going behind your blue eyes, right? Are those blue eyes?
We'll go with blue. Yeah.
Oh, okay, we'll go with blue. Those piercing blue eyes. So my first question for you: who are you?
Who am I?
Yes.
Um. Well, I am. I really. I'm a nobody from Nowheresville. Really, I feel as though I am just with access to the internet, and Photoshop. So that's how I feel. I'm from Newcastle. I live and die in this city unless people buy my comics. Buy my comics.
Yes, please and
Um,
thank
and I have my only family is my brother. He had a stroke a few years ago, so I look after him, and it gives me a lot of time to work on comics because he does his own thing, and I just do the chores around for him. And yes, that's me really. The rest of my time, I just concentrate on getting the comics out there and having a good time doing it and meeting fantastic people along the way. It's brilliant.
I love it. I love it. And before I go into the next question, I wanted to say hello to Legends. It's good to see you, sir. Thanks for joining us for today's excellent episode of Malachi's Corner. We're discussing all things Pride and the heroes of Pride, or the new heroes, so to speak. So, Shane, tell me, what made you want to get into comic books?
You know, I thought this question would come up, and I was thinking back to my earliest days of just picking up a crayon
Mhm.
and drawing on the wall. And some of the first memories that I have of me drawing Spider-Man and Batman.
Mhm.
These characters have been in my life since I could pick up a pencil, and to me, to think people consider that I've been inspired by these people and they see Nightwing and stuff in my characters, I'm like, Batman was on TV, he was in comics, he was in movies, he was on crisp packets. Of course, Batman's going to be in my head. They've paid good money for him to be in my head. You know what I mean?
Free.
Yes. Damn it. What was the question? Sorry.
I totally get it, and I can appreciate that because
Yep.
those characters, they do live in our head rent free.
Yep.
We were raised on them, and I can say personally, I think I can recall DC being more prevalent, than Marvel in my earliest years because you had Batman. At least you had what is the first? It was not the first Batman movie. Actually, it was in 1989. So
Yes.
when that came out, I was about 5 or 6. So they were pushing that. You had Prince, doing the soundtrack for it. And of course, Superman, those movies were already out by the time, we were born. So, I want to say DC/Warner Brothers, they had a stronghold, on our development, as kids, as creators.
actual story for Batman is when it came out in the UK, it actually brought with it a 12 certificate, which meant that anybody under 12 couldn't go and see it. I'm not sure what it was like in America, but I was 11 and my father would not let me go to the cinema to see this film. And I was obsessed with Batman, as everyone was in 1989. But I was allowed to get the graphic novel, which was around at the time, and I poured myself over that. And so for me, this love of comics have been around in my life as far as I remember. But then, like the graphic novel came along, and then Dale Keown was doing the Hulk in the 90s, and that stuff just blew my tiny child mind. It did. I was like, comics can be like this. And then Simon Bisley doing Judgment on Gotham. That was just the sex. It was amazing. And then from then on, I just thought, this is what I mean. To me, it's part of the bigger thing. You think of the franchise, you think, I want toys, I want animation, I want this character to live and breathe, you know. But I'm also a traditionalist, and I want to start in comics. That's where I want. Yes, I've got to start in comics. If it doesn't start in comics, it's not true. It's not real, not proper.
But you're not wrong. Like you see like a Marvel movie, or you could see a DC movie. I am, like, people who know me, I am very, very particular when it comes to Marvel lore. I've been a huge fan of Marvel since I was a kid, and I've been reading those comics, regularly since 1996. So we're going 25 years. And if you want to be even more anal about it, don't say anything. I love, I'm a huge X-Men fanatic. Like, don't get me to,
I'm thinking plenty.
So I get it. I totally understand, how it could definitely leave an impression for you. And, when we see these movies, we want to see those stories that spoke to us, represented in the correct way. And at least with the Marvel, they've been better than DC when it comes to depicting, the heroes, and they're willing to do more flexibility with the characters, and they're okay with using other characters. They don't need to stay with just 3 main characters. But we're gonna be very nitpicky regarding those things. But I do have another question for you, Shane, or Shaney. So what are some projects that you worked on as a creator?
All right. Well, actually, I started doing small press comics, which were the physical ones, just doing black and white runs. And I did a superhero comic called Butler Guy, who was a butterfly superhero. And then I did a more darker one called Sin Makers, which was about sort of manufacturing psionics. Because in the storyline, it was more about like psionics manifested through your sexual desires. And it was about sort of building weapons through that. Anyway, and that
I like that one. That sounds
It was really fun to work on, but I just ended the story and life got in the way. Anyway, then I did one called Gobi, and Gobi was kind of like Banana Man.
I
don't know if you know Banana Man, but it was very Beano, very silly. But it was I wanted it to grow because I wanted to donate to Save the Bees. I wanted to make a character that's like, people are going to love this guy. It's going to be like, people are going to come along and go, yes, we love bees now. Bees are the big thing, and let's save the bees. Anyway, nobody cared. So anyway, and then I went to university, and life just got in the way, and comics just never happened for years. And then I left my job a few years ago, and I thought, I need to get into comics or I'm going to go spare. and I started looking after my brother, so I just thought, get a project, do comics. I did a web comic called Heroes of the World and Beyond. Okay. It's been going on for 6 years now, and it's basically just all of my childhood superheroes that I designed when I was like 11 to 14, sitting in my bedroom, a little lonely autistic child with no friends, sitting drawing superheroes. That's who they are, really. And I just gave them modern life, and just dreamed them all up and gave them a story. And that's what the webcomic's all about. And I never intend to end it. It might go on a bit of a sabbatical now and again. But, and then the guys from Broken Reality Comics came along and said, we want to do this huge indie comics event where, because there's not a lot of it happening, we want to do something like a big, huge indie comics crossover with lots of like indie characters. And I was like, yeah, this sounds like a cool project. Yes, I'm in. And so I did G.I. Ant for that.
Okay.
They needed a character that was going to go up against some like massive threats. And I don't overpower my characters a lot. I think it's a bit too much when they're just too overpowered. I just think writing for them just gets a bit silly. Anyway. Yeah. So yes, and people were buying it, and I thought, whoa, people are buying my comics. What? This
is insane. Should.
So then I thought it's time to bring Twink back. Twink started in 2016. It was a little side project. I thought I need to get my skills up, so I have a little side project, and I can just do any type of art. I can do cartoon art, I can do realistic art, I can do digital painting. And just test my skills as I go and put it out as a webcomic for Twink. Mm-hmm. And but I just ended it one day. I just thought, it's too disorganized. I need to focus the story a bit more. I need to reboot it, really. But never really did. And then, as people were buying my comics, I thought, well, this is the time to actually say something about my LGBT personality. Mm-hmm. LGBTQ personality. So I did, and I think Twink's very much like, what's the word? My perspective on gay life. And I am an autistic person. I've struggled with gay life. Mm-hmm. I've not dived in and been Twink. I've had my moments where I've had.
Who hasn't?
Well, indeed. For me, it was never the lifestyle that I wanted. I was told at an early age, you're going to go out, you're going to take drugs, you're going to have random sex. Just be careful, do this, do that. And I thought, well, that's not really what I want to do. And when it came along, it was very much like I was acquiescing to it all, because I did want the Heartstopper scenario. I did want the beautiful thing, and I was looking for that, but for me, it just wasn't manifesting. And I thought, I was a big boy. I was overweight, so people were running away from me. I was, and I built up doing manual labor, and I got a bit of muscle on me, and kind of blossomed. Yeah. And then people were starting to show me attention, so I've seen both sides of it. Mm-hmm. I've seen the nasty side, and I've seen the shallow side, and so Twink comes in because Will himself is alert to what's going on. He's very well aware of it, and he's got no prejudices to who it comes to, who he goes with. He likes older men, he likes chubby guys, he likes bears. It's his friend Sean who's going to be there judging them.
Sean is hilarious, by the way.
I love Sean. Because Will's sitting there and he's like, all these people and all this nastiness. And Sean comes on and goes, shut up, and start dancing. And he does, and it's like, gets it all out of his head,
I'd love that. Now, speaking of Twink, his look is very provocative. And I do see some familiar elements in it. So tell me, what inspired you to create Twink's look?
I thought about it in equality terms, really, because there's a thing going on now about provocative looks in comics.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I didn't want to just hear the argument of, well, let's cover them up.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the far end of that argument. You know, the other side of it is, well, let's have more alluring men's costumes. You know, you see the memes going around of, you know, what if men in fantasy games were wearing this kind of armor? I'm like, I'm fine with that. I would love to see.
That's actually fun.
Give me that chain string thong. Yeah. I want that chain string
The
thong.
Princess Leia slave outfit. Yeah, he could wear that.
She looked amazing in that outfit.
She did, though. She did.
Honey, she worked that outfit. I want that action figure. I want that.
She looked so unbothered. That's what made the look, you know, complete, and it sold like, you know, the image she was going for. She was so reclined, like the Queen of Sheba.
She was in control of that outfit. She was in control of everything, and she knew what she was taking on with that outfit. So don't think she wasn't a weak person.
Mm-mm.
You know, she was strong. That was a strong woman.
She was.
So, you know, but to me, it's not sexual at all. I really don't actually care if Princess Leia's wearing that outfit at all. You know, what is porn when it's not porn? You know, if you put lesbian porn on for me, I'll be like, that's fab.
Same.
There's that argument as well, you know. I mean, I like the idea of putting this art out there and then letting it breathe and grow on its own, you know.
You do that a lot, and that's what I love about. Hey, Brad, there should be a link that I can get to you guys. Yeah, let me go to your page, Shane, so I can get that link.
Yeah, that's fine. I have She-Ra here. She can entertain us.
She-Ra. See, and that's what I love about you, because you know you press all the nostalgia buttons, because you know She-Ra and He-Man, they were everything.
Yeah. I mean, I will admit, looking back on it, it was all based on Christian thinking.
You think so?
Yes, a lot of the morality tales, but a lot of the morality at the end of the show was very wise.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. The only thing I wouldn't suggest now is when you're approached by a stranger or someone, She-Ra says to go and speak to someone in the clergy. Maybe not so much these days. I would go to possibly maybe, you know, security guard or something before that. Maybe.
All right, so I'm still on your page. I know I had pulled up. Now we should I won't say warn you, Brad, but you know it's a little risque. You know, well, you know what? Let me stop, because I got the deluxe version, of course. So
all right.
So yeah, because I wanted all of it. Don't judge me. So Shane, that brings me to my next question. Well, next improvised question. How does it differ from the other version of the comic? Is it more like PC or?
All right, the deluxe versions.
Yeah.
I just put extra content in. Really, I just it was a random idea, and I just thought if you buy 50 pence more, I've put in some art in the art gallery. Some of it's adult art. There's the original web comic that I put out in 2016, and there's some notes, and what else have I put in there? I can't remember now. It was just kind of like, should I do this? Let's give it a go.
But I'm glad that you did, because you know people need to take pride in their art. They need to show the world who they are, and that's what I enjoyed about the first issue. It felt so tangible,
right.
And it also spoke to a lot of the elements that are still prevalent, in the gay scene. When we were coming up, So I'm going to say the late 90s, early 2000s. I want to say AOL and Yahoo chat rooms were, it was a big thing. You had this big ass computer monitor that wasn't flat like they are now, and
Yep.
we were finally getting I don't want to say acclimated, but you were being exposed to technology in a way that, hey, I could use this to find someone. People were using the phone lines or whatever, going to bars, but the internet was something that was still very new.
Yes.
And now, like, we have a plethora of apps.
Yes.
There's Grinder, there's A4A, all these apps that didn't exist in 1999 or 2000. So
Exactly. And this is what I put out a promo not long ago of Twink. I'll try and find it to put it up somewhere. But he's got all his messages flying around in his head saying,
that was a great.
Would you like to meet up? Hook up now, age, sex, location, And I've just thought about this young lad right now, here and now, and what he's facing and what kind of mind that cultivates. Because I put it out without judgment. I do Twink without judgment, in a way. It's like saying, this is what I see going on, and you can't tell me this is not what I see going on because I've seen it. There's nothing that's in Twink that I haven't seen with my own eyes.
I agree.
So it's not that this isn't happening, but the thing that got me doing Twink was looking at these ideas in the YA, the boy love comics that were going around on Tapas. I'm not sure if you know of Tapas.
No, I don't.
All right, it's a web comic site, really. I think Heartstopper's up on there, actually. Yes, I think it is. But it's like of this gay fantasy, and I was looking at them thinking, well, it's lovely, but to quote Body Count, shit ain't like that.
Okay.
A young lad, like someone in Heartstopper, would possibly be on an app, and he would know how much attention he's getting. He would know. He's not sitting there in some wonderland going, "Oh, my prince is going to turn up." I mean, it's 2022.
Yeah. Like, get with it.
You're hot, you know it. Because you're getting all the attention, and not from young lads, from dozens of people from all types of. I mean, it's just there. I don't want to boast or anything, but I was on top of the scruff grid once with one of my pictures. It's just me standing outside the TARDIS. I thought I looked nerdy as hell. I was like, oh, no one's going to look at that picture. I was at the top of the scruff grid, and I got so many messages, and it just got to the point where it was just on repeat. And I was just having the same kind of conversation, just mixed up. And I just thought, well, they're not going to want to see a character like Super Chub, or they're not going to want to see a character like Nightbear. I've put out Chubby art before, I put out Bear art, and it gets some hits, but, So, and then I thought Nightbear, Twink, that's it. It sounds camp enough.
It's very tongue-in-cheek as well. And not to mention, it's pretty hilarious. But,
yeah, I mean, he's fighting with the butt plug. He's there's a camp element there. It's going to get very camp. There's going to be a lot of drag.
But camp is something that we made famous. It's embedded in our culture. So we need to pay our respect to that. But I did want to address something that you kind of touched on.
Yep.
So again, with this overexposure, you have all these messages coming in from different people, from different, backgrounds, different, ethnicities, whatever you want to call it. There's also a dangerous element that's brought in because not everybody's sincere. And of course, and I'm sure you've heard it too, there have been some really heartbreaking stories where people have gone to hook up and they don't go home. And I that's what I enjoyed about the first issue. there wasn't this I won't say glamorous, but there wasn't this, this evil beast or monster that he had to fight. But it was really a guy who was trying to lure him, into the shadows so he could beat and kill him. That's happening right now for all we know. And for me, that'll always be more chilling than a Doctor Doom or Magneto or whoever, someone who is deliberately, who wants to see you dead, who wants to see you hurt. And the best way of trying to get you is, hey, let me flirt with you and get you away from your safety zone so I could do whatever I want to you and kill you. I mean, there are so many, I won't even get into it now, but I've heard some true horror stories. So I commend you for doing that.
Well, a couple of things went into that. I wanted to think about what we face as LGBTQ people today. Mm-hmm. Because I think when you get into the realms of the oppression within superhero comics at the minute, mm-hmm. it's things like the Sentinels and mm-hmm. Magneto and the like. And I just think, when you get into the realms of, if you're going to talk about LGBTQ issues now, you need to talk about the oppression that we have in society and the violence against us. Without that, as we saw in DC Pride recently, it's a bit of a weak story. I think every story there to me fell flat, apart from Kevin Conroy's, which showed the oppression and showed us the journey that we go through. What irritates me about these stories is the fact that they show some kind of LGBTQ utopia. We're not living in an LGBTQ utopia. We do not. So shut the F up, to be honest. Virtue signaling. There are people being lured off these apps to get beaten up.
Or worse.
There was a lad just the other day while I was talking to somebody about homophobic attacks, and a news article just popped up. He was playing he's a rugby player, and he's had his ankle shattered in a homophobic attack, so he can't play rugby anymore.
Oh, wow.
All because, and while everybody I see looking at the heart stuff, and it's lovely, and I do appreciate that it's very cute, I'm looking at the other end, and I post that picture up in the comic of Sean about to get put, or this is in issue 2, and I put that up, and I just thought, well, you're looking at Heartstopper, I'm seeing this, and maybe I'm being a militant because I do want people to be in a scenario where you can just fall in love and not worry about all these labels and things like that. But just at the minute, I just think maybe I'm being too militant, because we do need to have a look at that utopia kind of thing, and we do need to look forward and have a bit of hope, and I do appreciate that. So it's been fantastic, because it's been a journey for me to look at things on different sides. Writing is amazing. Writing stories, get out there and do it. It's fantastic. The things you learn. I've been learning Japanese. I've been learning about Indian cosmology. Fantastic. It's just what you learn along the way. Yeah, it's brilliant.
No, I do want to address Brad's question, and maybe Shane, you could help me with this. Brad he wants to know, are there Night Twinks? Can you imagine an army of Night Twinks? Anyway, where can you get physical copies?
Honestly, we are just starting out in Broken Reality Comics, and we're doing digital right now.
Okay.
What we're planning on doing is, when we get a decent amount of sales on something, then we're going to take that and get a physical copy made of that. Whatever the popular one is at the minute, it just so happens to be mine. So just throwing that out there.
I mean, hello.
And then we're going to go on physical copies. I mean, we want to sell physical copies, but we're just starting out. We want to get our voice out there. We've just did a Kickstarter, which we smashed 5 times over. It was awesome, fantastic. I mean, it wasn't my Kickstarter, so I wasn't too like stressed about it. But I did the promo for it, and it was just like, yeah, we were kicking ass. It's fantastic, loved it, and just the support out there for indie comics and the need for it, because right now DC Pride showed me that there are stories out there for LGBT people that are not being told, and it can't be told through corporate conservative comics with that level of superhero. That was another thing I wanted to say with my Twink. It is complete street level. It is literally just me and you. It's just me and you. He's wearing a club outfit. I didn't design that outfit, by the way. The only thing that I put on that outfit that I designed was the lightning strike. Okay. He's meant to be wearing a joke shop mask and a club outfit, like just a generic clubbing outfit that I found on a Google search. I was like, yeah, that looks really slutty.
It's a hot look for him, though. I mean, I love it. And for me, one of my favorite parts in the book is when, Will, he finally attends, the party, and he meets up with Sean, and Sean is like, well, you could be sluttier, and he like kind of puts his finger in the crotch area, and he just tugs at it. And I'm like, a friend would actually do that for you, So, I totally
get yourself out there, Will. Stop being such a prude, And it's like, yeah. Well, do you know what? I think one of the bad things that people do with indie comics, and I'll get this out there, is that they make this character and they're like, this is Omega Man, and he's got super strengths, and he can fly, and he can shoot mega beams out his eyes. And they've like set this character out, and there's no room to breathe beyond that, It's like you made this thing, and it's like you can't. And you've got to get these things breathing and molding and evolving. And I just thought, if you start out with one outfit and it's just like that little thing doesn't have a story behind it, then it's just nothing. It's just another part of the concept. So it's the same with Will and Sean. I want them to evolve as we go along, and it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be like normal comics. And in my comics, characters who die stay dead.
And see, and that's, and I'm glad you said that, because with Marvel right now, the X-Men, the mutants are now immortal, which I'm okay with, but it kind of seems like they seem to die more now as opposed to before. So they kind of rely, that's what they kind of rely on that crutch. But, there was something really substantial and pure when you had this character, this beloved character, sacrifice, his or her life. And, you felt that emotion, and you're like, oh my gosh, like Supergirl for Crisis on Infinite Earths, when you see that cover of Superman holding his dead cousin, that was insane. Or if you go back to when Jean, killed herself on the moon in front of Cyclops, even though it wasn't really Jean, and she came back 6 years later. But that's another story. Stuff like that. Like,
what does it mean anymore? Death brings meaning to life. I mean, trust me, I'm a philosophy graduate. Okay, I studied existentialism. I studied Heidegger. Death brings meaning to life. Trust me.
It does. So I'm glad that you took that approach with your writing. Not to say that I want to see, your characters die, but I'm glad that you're going to hold them, because these characters are your babies too, So
I hate putting a scratch on my characters. I don't want to say any. No, don't touch the face. But actually, the oddest thing, right, is I'm into bears. That's kind of my thing. So this Night Twink thing, I'm really doing it because I want people to see light through this character. I think a young lad's going to hopefully get a bit more sympathy, because he lives in a council estate in North England. His dad's an alcoholic. His mother's not that far off. You're going to meet his family, and he's not the kind of. I mean, people want to make Nightwing comparisons. Nightwing, well, both his parents are dead to begin with. Yeah. He's got a rich sugar daddy who dresses up in black spandex, with
bat nipples.
Yeah, with big bat cod pieces. Hello. You know, and he literally gone toe to toe with the likes of Scarecrow and Deathstroke.
Yeah.
Right. Night Twink can throw around a meteor hammer, and he's got a blue belt MMA. Basically, he's just started out.
He's a baby.
You know,
like, give him some time, y'all.
Yeah. This is year one. Come on. He's not going to start. I mean, in another indie comic, you would expect him to come in with ultimate ninja powers and start, you know, flailing around with 2 dildos on a chain, nunchuck style. That's going in the comic.
I thought I died when I saw that. I was, is he? I said yes, and he said, "Oh, there's some weight to it." I was like, "Wow." This is but I did want to ask you. So, and you kind of answered it, you know, in previous, you know, answers. But what was your creative process, you know, when it comes to developing this world, you know, and not even so much, you know, this particular story, you know, when Shane is about to sit down and craft this award-winning story, what goes into it, you know? Tell Malachi.
Right. I adopt the Stanley approach.
Mhm.
I was sitting there writing scripts for years, getting absolutely nowhere. And then I thought, right, okay, if I do some artwork, and I want to get the artwork out there because it's that damn badass, then I'm going to craft the story around that. And I did that. And 6 years later, here I am. I never stopped. It got me into the creative process. And what was stopping me was the script. So when I talk to people about indie comics now, I think, are you having the writer's block? Are you having a block at all? Try different methods, because for me, it worked. And I build as I go. I'm always reminded of Masters of the Universe.
Yes.
When Masters of the Universe first went out on TV, it was still cooking. They still hadn't laid the foundations of what was to come. And that was was a $1 billion enterprise and franchise. So don't be too afraid to start out and get a few things wrong and have to retcon a few things here and there. You know, be creative and be something that you can allow to breathe and not just strap down and say, this is what's going to happen, that's going to happen. You know, let it be its own little monster. And even then, I do believe, as an artist, your art always remains with you. And from then on, it's interpretation. So whatever you're trying to say, it's always going to be interpreted. That's not even a word. It is now. It's always going to be reinterpreted through subsequent people. And and I think that's fantastic, because people come back to you and say, well, I got this and I got that. And ultimately, I want it to be a positive story, because I want it to be a sex positive story. I want it for people to go out there and say, I'm living this life. I don't want a boyfriend. I don't want a relationship. I don't feel that. And I feel positive just being this person. Stop judging me for that. And I do like that people come to Night Twink and start judging me and go, well, what's he wearing that outfit for? And I'm like, well, you're just playing into the whole meta thing that I've got going on here, because you're judging him already, because he's not looking for the Prince Charming. He's actually just enjoying his life. Why are you judging him?
This is true. This is all true. So for me, I've been no. This is why we're here. So I like to think, and I hope that you've been watching The Boys on Amazon Prime.
I saw the first series. Yeah.
Okay, so they go there, and it's gritty, it's delicious, it's nasty, and I'm here for it. So I guess my question for you, if you had the opportunity to pitch Night Twink, as a series, which streaming service or which channel would you go for?
The BBC.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
It is British.
Yeah, so there's that.
Or Channel 4, they do some pretty well. You see, you know, a lot of my motivation for writing comes from Russell T Davies. Do you know who he is? He did Queer as Folk.
Which the UK version of it?
He did the original UK version. He also did Doctor Who. He's coming back to Doctor Who now with the new Doctor, which is fantastic. Russell T Davies is amazing. And the thing is with Russell T Davies, when he did Queer as Folk, he just went, oh, you think that gay life is just like, oh, you meet someone, you fall in love, and you fall in this middle class heteronormative kind of thing. Oh no, that's what people do. That's you know, and he's got like tongues going up asses and things like that. I'm like, you sell it me. It's not pretty, and I think a lot of people don't want to see that side of gay life, but it's there and it's brutal sometimes, you know, and it's harsh. You know, and yeah. So with me, I just thought a character that was in the center of it all would be a bit more interesting because he would have the popularity, but he would see the other side. He would see that internalized. What do they call it? It's not internalized homophobia. It's kind of like, you know, don't talk to me if you're fat. Don't talk to me if you're black. Don't talk to me if it's
not even internalized. That's just outward bigotry.
It is bigotry, yeah. And it's not just the thing is with gay life. It's not just gay people who do it, but because it's gay, it's under a microscope. We can see it. You know, we can observe it. It seems like we're under a microscope sometimes, anyway. From ourselves, you know,
because we are. You know, we as a community, we can be very critical of, you know, each other and ourselves. And I remember there was a term that came out a few years ago, and it stayed with me because I still say it now. They said being skinny fat is worse than being fat. And I'm like, that's me. I'm skinny fat. You know, we were just very we're very critical. There was someone made a comment about the fact that for people who were ostracized, you know, so deeply, you know, for years, you know, everything leading up to Stonewall, you know, in the late '60s, you know, we knew as a community how it was to be crapped on, to be disrespected, to be seen as different in a bad way. And then once we got that, you know, that liberty, you know, that freedom, whatever, and we started treating our own brothers and sisters in the same way that we were being treated by the outsiders. So, you know, I just find that very interesting. People they will disappoint, and sometimes they will surprise the hell out of you. So it's not just a gay issue, I would say.
Oh, definitely not. But like I say, because we're under the microscope, we can say, well, it's a gay issue. It is a general issue in life, I suppose. But this is one of the issues that I wanted to raise with the term twink, because it is a pigeonhole. And in issue 2, I do bring up the idea that, you know, or the fact that these terms are put out there, and for some people, like bears, I've saw a lot of people, and you'll see a lot of people get bear tattoos, and it's because they've went into the bear culture and they've just exploded and found the things they enjoy to do sexually, and they get tattoos because it's been such an experience, you know. So for them, bear is such a cultural sort of anchor. But and I would put myself in the bear category. I'm a hairy man, you know, it's, what have you, and I like bears. So, but I defy any kind of thing like, you know, that I'm some kind of Casanova or someone who sleeps around, because I'm not. I'm kind of got, you know, the autism thing, and I've got the sort of demisexual side in a lot of ways, you know, and I'm quite the opposite of the romantic side tonight, Twink. So it's I've been getting a lot of information from romantic people, and it's been great to chat to them, you know. Anyway, I'm rambling.
That's
my point. I can't remember what the point was, to be honest.
So I wanted to touch on you know, He-Man, you know, before we wrap up, because I think we have a few more minutes. But
sure, yeah.
So He-Man, you know, I love the fact that, you know, you are a big kid. You know, that's something that immediately drew me to you when I saw you posting in the groups about Night Twink, and when I reached out to you and we became friends, and then I noticed that on your page you had a lot of He-Man stuff. And for me growing up, I loved He-Man. And it worked out perfectly because, you know, He-Man was my favorite character, and She-Ra was my twin sister's favorite character. And then my younger brother, you know, he was obsessed with Thundercats. So, with all that being said, Shane, what are your thoughts on this recent revival of He-Man Revelations that came out on Netflix? What did you think about it?
I thought it was the natural evolution.
Okay.
It's He-Man for the grown-ups.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the animation was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
The story, I think, went a bit too far, and the deaths were unnecessary. So I just chose to wrap myself back up in the Filmation comfort blanket, and that's where I stay today. So Fisto's still alive. Yeah.
So I'm glad you said that, because, you know, I enjoyed, for the most part, I enjoyed it. You know, I'm glad that Kevin Smith, you know, took a look at the property. I did think that part one was stronger than part two, you know, what he was trying to do. But I kid you not, Tila's voice, Sarah Michelle Gellar, it got on my nerves so bad. Like it. And you know what the thing about it is, I like the actress. You know, this is Buffy that we're talking about. I love the actress, but her as Tila, it made my ass itch, you know. But I did like that Evil Lynn got more of a, you know, spotlight, because, you know, she was always, you know, the badass that was.
She was amazing.
Shadows
I mean, she was worth watching it for.
She really was, though.
Yes.
But I know there was another He-Man cartoon that came out on Netflix around the same time.
Yes.
Did you see that one too?
I did, yes.
What did you think about that one?
It was amazing. It was absolutely
fantastic. It?
Yeah, it was so much fun.
I could not get through it. I could not do it. Like Tila, I'm like, so she's Storm now with brown eyes.
It was a complete retelling. I mean, from the ground
yes.
up. But I think that the set, the scenario, and you know, they're telling their story in their version. I do like to think of Masters of the Universe as a multiverse now, and there's so many different stories being told about what is core to Masters of the Universe, which I will actually answer your question now. What do I think of these modern ones? I think that what they need to remember is at its core, He-Man and She-Ra were about honor, virtue, truth, justice. They were purity, really. I mean, she's in white. She's wearing pure white, you know. And for me, I think there can be buggers to follow in real life, but without them, you know, we can't really call ourselves, you know, real civilized if we're not showing these virtues. I mean, they were there for a reason. We're calling virtues for a reason. Yeah. I do think, you know, that's at the heart of He-Man and She-Ra, and to just make it into some kind of big battle, I just think that's sort of big boy territory. That's, you know, and you know, there's this need to feel like to turn all of the heroes there's the female heroes into these big, tough, battle hardy. And I said to Mattel recently on Twitter, don't forget that, you know, these ladies were actually beautiful as well, and they celebrated beauty. And let's celebrate beauty. You know, they don't have to be sitting there peeling the faces off giant monsters. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you said that because, of course, you know She-Hulk, and She-Hulk is one of my favorite characters. Like I've been,
yeah,
so she's funny, she's amazing. So the thing about it is, like, you know, I enjoyed her. I love the fact that, you know, she was a lawyer, you know, and then she was a lawyer who was still green and all that good stuff. But then when she was selected for Jason Aaron's team, like they really dumped her. They dumped her up. No, they dumped her down and they muscled her up. And did you see that?
I haven't really been reading comics.
I gotta show you. It was so annoying, and it was so bad that I couldn't read the book. And so with her being like this true brute, you know, she had this relationship with Thor, and I'm like, but no, it doesn't work that way. So now she's back to normal, but you know, for me, I don't like when they do stuff like that. I'm not saying that she has to be like a supermodel, but you know, I don't want her to look like her cousin, but you know, but with longer hair, because she looked just like her, you know, Bruce at that point. But
well, you know, I've been having this conversation recently about LGBTQ superheroes, because I was sitting there thinking, you know, what when we talk about everyone's celebrating Pride, everyone's celebrating DC Pride and Marvel Pride and what have you, and I'm sitting there thinking, well, where do I turn to here with my superheroes for the gay stories? Where's the Secret Wars of gay stories for these characters? And I'm looking there thinking, well, you know, Wonder Woman's bisexual now, but I don't look at Wonder Woman and go, well, where's the story where I vibe with the bisexual storyline, or where I find my LGBT side? I don't turn to these people now. And this is where I think we need to get new characters pumping into the system with contemporary issues and contemporary moralities. Because you look at someone like Twink compared to someone like the new Superman sitting there with his little conservative, you know, boyfriend. Oh, isn't it wonderful? Yeah, honey.
But the pink hair, yeah. I was like, I get it. But you know what it is too, I think they need to have someone who is LGBTQ writing these books. If you're going to have a character who is, you know, identifying that way, you know, maybe you can hire a writer who knows.
But can they go that far though? Can these people use mainstream comics to tell the stories that we need to be telling? Because it's all fine and well having LGBT superheroes flying around the city, but all you're going to be doing there is normalizing having LGBTQ superheroes in the city. There's no point in saying this is Pride, because you're selling on the fact that they're LGBTQ. And what are the problems that LGBTQ people have there? Is it Killer Moth? No, it's not Killer Moth. I loved the new Batgirl. I loved the energy was coming from her, but she went up against Killer Moth. What the hell has that got to do with me and LGBTQ? I haven't got a clue. He's got some fancy tights. You know, maybe he's a bit closeted.
He's a real
but it definitely wasn't. It wasn't Batgirl. If Batgirl said, right, well, I've got the Batcave now, what I'm going to do is there's a center over there that's doing electroshock treatment on trans people. I'm going to just raise that building to the ground. I'll be like, yes, that's what I want to see. I don't want to. Okay, sorry. This is me being militant. You see, this is me.
No. It's. I don't even think it's being militant. It's like it's you being passionate. You know, it's
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, because it's you wanted to see, you know, our stories depicted in a realistic, you know, yet accessible way.
Yeah. Well, I think you need to have the franchise. You need to have the link character. You know, you need to have that the superhero. You know, and to put him in the heroic role. again, I wanted to play around with the hero the hero thing, because he's a horny kid, and he's going to make decisions based on that. And to me, I think that's going to be a part of writing about this young lad, because we've all been young lads.
Yes, we have.
But
we were.
Yes. And I wanted to focus on this character that's living in a contemporary setting, and not just some edited setting that comes out through the mainstream. I mean, I'm not hissing on the mainstream. I think, we do need to normalize it, but again, don't say that it's pride, don't say that it's LGBT, because that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The Initio is trans. I mean, that line when she's saying, I've grown up as a trans person in Gotham, was like, mic drop moment, honey. That was amazing, But then she went on to be, kill him off.
Well, remember when North Star first came out back in 1994? I want to say it was Alpha Flight issue 102.
Right.
It was a big deal. They had suspected for a long time that John Paul was one of us, and they did. It was not received well. And then I want to say a little after he came out, they canceled that series. So, and now you see how everything is. It's cool to be gay. Everything is. It's profitable now. You walk into Target, and the first display you see is nothing but rainbows and T-shirts and stuff. Like, they don't care about you.
Nope.
Go to take your money. But they don't care about your preference. Excuse me, your preference or anything like that. So, but it's still nice to see that they. How should I say it? It's nice to see in our lifetime that there's been a gradual, change.
Well, yes, and I think that's what I've learned recently, is that there needs to be a kind of normalization out there, and that's possibly what mainstream can do. It's just, and I think maybe where I'm having the problems is like, well, we need to be out there. And like I said, a few of these guys on Twitter that I talk to, these comic gurus on Twitter, they say, "Oh, we talk comics." It's like, no, you just talk mainstream comics, honey. That's all you're talking about. I'm going down your feet, mainstream. Right? You don't talk about indie comics. Supper maybe. Anyway, I'm not bitter. Much.
Not even a little bit. No.
Not even a little bit. But I'm saying, how far can we tell this LGBT story, which is about oppression at the minute? It is. It's the man oppressing us. What villains can they throw at us? The man is oppressing us. It's the government. It's business. Business is exploiting us, really. And it's these things that I want to talk about. And thinking just being in a loved up kind of thing. I mean, yes, that was my point. Just being represented in the media, yes, that is fantastic, and that's possibly what mainstream can do. Is just having these guys about and just having normal everyday relationships and just talking about LGBT life as it is just a normal occurrence, and that's good in itself. Which is not what I'm doing. I'm doing the exact opposite. Mine's very much activism. There's characters that's going to come in who are going to be much more militant than Twink about this. Because I
can't wait to see your because I know that this is the start of something big, and I can't wait to see all these characters come out.
Well, I got about 2,000 subs on Webtoon with the web comic, which was fantastic. I was like, well, people are loving this. This is me. I was getting comments. People never get comments on superhero comics on Webtoon. It just doesn't happen. I was like, oh, people love this. But I think people appreciated the rawness of it all, And like I say, with Russell D. Davis in the back of my head, get out there. And Stephen Moffat and Chris Chibnall, fantastic writers, all Doctor Who writers.
Yes, I see.
you know, they know how to craft a story, and they're in the back of my mind, and I just like the rawness of it. Just like get it out there, be unashamedly gay, because, you know, I don't want to sound mean, but like this Heartstopper thing, you know, it's a bit.
It looks cheesy. It does not speak to me at all.
No, and like I've always been into more mature men anyway, so I don't really want to see kids.
Yeah, make out.
You know, I'm a bit over that kind of stuff now. So maybe it's just not my age range. It's not
we're
my.
We're not the demographic anymore. We're no longer night twinks.
Oh, I was never a twink. No, I grew up fat.
I remember I was in college, and I was hanging out with some friends of mine, and you know, so it was me, Hector, and Anthony. So Anthony was, you know, but he had 2 years on us, and we were freshmen, you know, in college. So, you know, we wasn't trying to be shady or anything. So we turned to him. He was like, "Hey, you know, would we be considered twinks?" He said, "No, you guys can never be twinks." And I was like, "Well, it's a good thing that we're not gross Anthony bears." And he got so mad. He walked out the room, and we started laughing. But I think I had my twinkish moments, but that was a long time ago. You know, whatever. But
sorry.
No, go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
Well, it was the idea I was talking before about the idea of these pigeonholes in society, and they orientate people. Like I was saying about the bears before, it gives you that side, and people will do it with Twink as well, which I found out it has its own flag, and people really enjoy the term and see themselves share it. But it's like, as you'll find with Will Pepper, who was Night Twink, he defies the term completely. He's a very intelligent person, and he just doesn't even know it because he's been brought up on a council estate. Nobody's ever said, "Wow, you're really bright." But look at him now. He's going across the rooftops solving a crime, or crimes, you know. And it's like, and he's got that kind of Spider-Man kind of passion about it. You know, he sees the bad stuff going on, and he's saying, "Well, if I can do something, then I should." Because that's what Spider-Man's like, you know. You should, you could, kind of thing. So there's a bit of Spider-Man in there. There's bit of Hellraiser, I suppose, the outfit. But the thing is like you say, "Oh, well, I'm not a twink." So you stop saying I'm a twink, or stop saying I'm a bear. You know, I don't fall into that. But then if somebody comes along and say on the chat sites and goes, "Hey, I'm looking for a bear tonight," you'd be like, "Hey, bear here."
So, Shane, I have one last question for you, and then I'm gonna let you get some sleep because I know it's got to be late. Where can we find you on social media?
Right, comicbook.uk. Everything's on there, including the comics that you really need to buy because they're awesome.
Yes, they are.
comicbook.uk, and I paid for that, so I want to get some use out of it.
Yes. Shane, it's been a pleasure having you on my show. I knew it was going to be fun. I didn't expect it to be this fun. You know, if we had more time and if we were able just to talk about everything, it would be at least like a 3-hour show. So
yeah, I can see us talking a long time. Yeah, you're a fantastically interesting person, and it's been great making friends with you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so guys, we have the link in the comments, so you can purchase Night Twink #1 and #2. It was released recently. You know, please remember that it is Pride Month, and remember that, you know, to respect your brothers and sisters and non-binary, you know, brethren, especially during this month. You know, it's our time. You know, we have a chance to be seen. You know, if you know someone who is LGBTQ centered and they're a creator, support them. You know, just let them know that you are thinking about them. But guys, I will be back next Thursday. I know, surprise, surprise. Shane actually put me in this whole mindset that I need to highlight other creators who are either LGBTQ or writing LGBTQ type books. So all month I'll be doing this. So, come back next Thursday, which is the 16th, I want to say, at 7:00. I'm not going to reveal the name of that guest just yet. Or will I do that? I will. So next week, we're going to have Greg. Thank you, Charles. We're going to have Greg LSA on the show along with Jason Reeves. They did a phenomenal book called Stronghold. Shane, you got to check that out. It is a scene in there that's my favorite scene. And Greg knows what I'm talking about, but I'm going to send that to you. That's going to be for next Thursday. Again, Shane, it was so much freaking fun.
Yeah.
And we have to do this again soon. And we got to work out some things too. All right, guys, you have a good night, and thanks for tuning in to Malachi's Corner.
So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will.
If this the land of the free, it was a freedom then. When they annexed Hawaii and called it Cedar Lands, without any type of payment and no signing off. Called themselves a republic in 1894. 1.2 million acres overtaken from the native Hawaiians. When they resisted, the West retaliated in violence and erasure. The Hawaiian language is banned as part of colonialism's plan to expand, yeah.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No work out for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.
So if we put Hawaii into perspective, well, Black and Asian history is interconnected. Considering the fight with the Pacific, then of course, versus Asia, they was treated as a middleman for war, but didn't let the Western colorism run its course, cause dark skin was a sign of dignity to core. The land was taken in the name of capitalism, when prior to it was an actual kingdom. Clap back at the system.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No work out for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.
I'm Steve Bloom. I've been a voice actor for more than 30 years, playing characters like Wolverine, Starscream, Tank Dempsey from Call of Duty.
With Bloomfox Studios, I've learned so much about myself.
Learning to breathe, to no fear, to getting ugly in front of the mic.
One of the biggest changes I've noticed, at least for me, is how much my confidence level has gone up.
I've done an Eastern European video game, an e-commerce commercial, a documentary. If you're thinking about getting into voiceover, just do it. Jump in.